Hello, 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 everybody. I'm so excited. Welcome to Conversations with Q. And I am very, very excited about this show tonight because, as you can see, I got two little persons here that look just a little bit like me. So they might be related to me. I don't know. Are you related to me? Are you related to me? I don't know. Well, uh, so for those of you that do know, of course, you know these are my mini me's, Jordan Maia. And then for those of you that don't, I'm going to introduce you guys to my two teen daughters. Yes, I know I don't look like I have teenage girls, but we're gonna um um yeah, so we're going to just talk a little bit about teen and mental health and what does it really look like for teenagers. The reason why I brought my daughters on, because we actually have a lot of these discussions. We've been having these conversations among ourselves for a while, since their sixth grade year, since they started middle school, correct? So so yeah, so we're I'm sorry, I just got thrown off a little bit. But so we're going to talk more about teens and mental health, and I'm just kind of getting my camera together, getting us settled. But yeah, I just wanted to share some of their insights from their mouths and not just from my own, because of course I could say what my daughters say, but you know, they really do have some very insightful perspectives about mental health. And not just because I'm a therapist and all of that good stuff, because sometimes they don't want to hear from me because I'm a therapist. They're like, Mom, you know, don't be my therapist, isn't that right? Don't y'all have those moments? Okay. So in that, I wanted to be able to share what some of the teen perspective, their experiences with their classmates, their friends, and even for themselves as far as mental health and the challenges and trends that they see when it comes to teens and mental health. Before I get started, though, I do want to do my shameless plug. Help Me, I'm Hurting. This is my new book that came out in May. And for those of you, if you haven't already purchased your copy, you can get it online. It is available on Amazon. If you go to my website, empoweredtoheal.info, you can either order from the Amazon link, or you can order a signed copy directly from me on the website as well. So if you haven't already captured your copy for Help Me, I'm Hurting, or if you decide you want to give someone because you read it and you thought, okay, this is a good book to share with a friend or family member, colleague, or whoever, I would be grateful for that support. It is a good book, not just because I wrote it, but because it is going to help people really get to the place of wanting to be more motivated and inspired to heal. And what is the more practical, realistic approaches to the healing journey. So, you know, this book definitely gets you there. So let's get started. You girls, y'all ready to get started? Are you nervous, Jordan?
No.
You look nervous. Are you nervous, Maya? Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how important is mental health for teens. So who wants to go first? How important is mental health for teens?
I think mental health is extremely important, not just for teens, but for everyone. But I feel like adults and teens deal with mental health differently, and that the world also perceives them differently, which they are. For teens, I feel like they're especially important because we're still learning, we're still growing, and we have to deal with the pressures of things like school, homework, extra activities, for people who are older and like seniors in high school, they deal with like college and just figuring out the rest of their life. So I feel like extra pressure is added on with teens.
Right.
And depending on what type of households they may have, I also feel like maybe even family can add to that pressure, you know. So I
How
definitely feel
so?
like,
How do you think more pressure is added to teens when it comes to just their mental or emotional struggles?
like you mean like
From
from
family?
family?
Yeah, from family. Yeah.
So, well, like if you come from a family who just expects everything to be constantly perfect, you know, that can put a lot of pressure on your child because they obviously want to live up to that because they don't want to disappoint you or anyone else. So, you know, it can take a lot of toll on their mental health, especially because they can feel, even when they do something right, they may feel like that's not as good. They have to go all the way on. They can overexert themselves. It's just things like that.
Okay. Okay. So, so what about you, Jordan? What do you think? How important do you think is mental health for teenagers?
It's extremely important. I mean, it dictates how everybody lives their daily lives and how just where they go from there to the future.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, we had this discussion just earlier about mental health and what does it mean to you. Hey, Jasmine. Hey, Robert. How are you guys doing? So we're thankful for you guys joining in. What is good versus bad mental health? So I think Jordan wants to talk about what is a good perspective of mental health. Like what is good mental health to you?
Good mental health is just, you know, waking up happy and expecting a lot from the day and just going into everything with a positive mindset and not expecting the worst out of the situation. Just just living your life to the best and not having to worry about everybody else's opinion or what else could go wrong or just not overthinking in general.
Okay. Okay. All right. Maya, what is your perspective of bad mental health?
A little piggyback off what she said, just if you may wake up with even just the initial thought like, oh, this is gonna be a bad day. So like negative thoughts, sort of. Yeah, so like negative thoughts, just when you overthink everything, even when it's the smallest thing. You're not very confident or happy with yourself. Also, like how you see yourself can be very thing. Your attitude in general towards others and again towards yourself. Yeah, just having that negative outlook on life. Sometimes not even having the will to live. Yeah.
Okay. And so sometimes you can feel numb.
Yeah.
Emotionally numb. Okay. So for your experience, I mean, what do you feel like affects teens the most when it comes to their struggles in mental health?
I think it varies for everybody. And what they see is more important in their eyes, and something that can be small in everybody else's eyes can seem big in their eyes. So like if somebody says something like a smaller comment that may intend to be funny, they take it as if an insult or anything, and that just really takes a toll on how they view everything.
Okay.
And just I think more people just in general, what people say to them, how people act around them, things they do to them.
So what do you mean? So go ahead and answer the question, and then I'm gonna get in a little deeper into what Jordan was saying about.
I agree with her. I feel like it varies for everyone because obviously there are different effects for everyone. So one person could feel, you know, like they have to be perfect. Other people can be stressing about school. I feel like school is definitely a big one. Because I even talked to like kids at school now. Like a lot of kids are stressing about everything, getting their homework done, just the hardness of the classes and everything. And that can take a really big toll. It even has for me. I've gotten so stressed over just trying to make sure I pass everything, do good in school, keep my grades up. So
Yeah, gotta keep them grades up.
So yeah,
Not to mean to stress you out, but
so yeah, it can be a lot.
Well, I mean, so Jordan, I think you brought up a good point just about things that people can say. So like, what about like how parents talk to their children? How do you think that can have an effect? Like how they're spoken to and talked to?
I think our other older generations grow very differently from our generation, or just the things that they were taught are much harder on our generation than it was on them. So for them, it may seem like it made them stronger and better, but for us, kind of deteriorating our mental health. So, like, you may say something and think that it's what's best for them, but it's the thing that's affecting them the most.
You got an example?
Well, you mean like something that could
like give me more of a more direct example of a type of phrase that could be said, or a rule that you feel like may be too hard, or to follow, or something like that.
Well, sometimes I feel like adults see that if they think the kids may not be doing a lot, and adults like work and pay bills and stuff, they feel like the kids are being lazy per se, but we're not. We're not doing it, even if it's different things, we still have things on our plate, and that can be just as keep us just as busy and stuff
Just
as
be
adults,
Yeah. What about yelling or cussing? Because just the other day, we were at the store, and I was waiting for you guys to meet me on a certain aisle. And this lady just started like cussing out her little 4-year-old toddler and told her to sit her A down, and just different things that she yelled out in the middle. So she was really loud to the point where everybody that was anywhere in earshot stopped and looked at her, and she didn't even care. Like, she didn't even look around to see that people were looking. But I felt like for this little girl to hear some of these, what I think was demeaning words or phrases, I can only imagine what her self-esteem may be like by the time she hits 12 and 13.
It definitely starts young.
Yeah.
It just builds up.
Because if you come from an abusive household, and this can be verbally or physically, that's definitely going to have a toll when you're older. Even if you don't realize it yet, it may come up in different forms, like acting out in school, being a certain way with different people, and maybe having trust issues that you didn't know that you had. So it will definitely come out at a young age, definitely.
I personally don't agree with cursing out your children, going to hit them first before you actually have like a sit down conversation with them. Try to figure out their point of view and your point of view, and try to come to an agreement, and just seeing what their feelings are, because a lot of teens didn't get a chance to express their feelings when they were young. So now they're pent up and they don't know how to share their feelings now. So it's just harder for us to come to people, to like a therapist, because we were kind of taught to constantly hold in our feelings because we never got a chance to explain them or talk about them.
Well, I mean, I don't want y'all to think that I just did the timeout corner with the girl. But I mean, I think that it's good, because you do have to have a balance. For me as a parent, I feel like you do still have to have a balance between discipline and having that comfortable relationship to have open communication. So I'll put y'all on the spot and ask y'all, what do y'all think about that balance? Because, we do talk, we have conversations, but we do, mommy does discipline or has disciplined you guys even when you were little and younger, and having to trying to teach you guys, the right things to do or behave, like right ways to behave even in public or at home. So what do you think?
Okay, so I agree that it's not that you can't discipline your children. I just feel like obviously we all know it can get to a certain point where it is considered abusive. Like if you constantly tell your children like, oh, you're worthless, you don't do anything, you're
Right.
stupid, all that type of stuff. Like obviously that's verbal abuse, it's abuse. But taking their phone away or making them do dishes for a week, that's different, obviously, especially if they actually do something wrong, like skip a class at school or something.
Right.
Like, so I feel like discipline, can definitely discipline your children. I definitely believe in discipline. I just feel like there is a certain point that it can get to before it gets bad.
I don't like punishing children or parents punishing their children for something that's out of their control.
Like what?
Like let's say when parents get upset because they're trying to play something with their friends and then they ask for a ride and for money.
Okay,
And
Lord.
the parents just get upset because like they are the ones who have to pay and who have to drive, and it's out of our control, and you put the most pressure on us because we know that on some part we have to figure it out, but the other part is on you.
Okay, look, we don't want to have this family discussion about y'all hanging out with our friends. But no, I mean, I get what you're saying. Definitely, Pastor Smith would definitely try to connect with the youth ministry, because the girls really do have more insight about mental health. So just even talking about that, basically what the girls are trying to get at, yes, discipline is important, but being able to affirm your children just as much as you discipline them is very, very important. I know that when the girls were even approaching junior high, there were parents that would tell me that was like the most crucial, like very altering part of their life in their transition. And they were like, this is such, like, for some reason that 6th to 8th grade mark is just really hard to engage with your kids, because they're going through a lot as far as their transitioning with their hormones, growing up, approaching, high school and stuff like that. And so I was told that was going to be like the hardest season of parenting. And, I had moments where I was like, it's not that bad. And then it was moments like, I don't know who this child is. I don't know who this person belongs to. But one of the things I learned, even talking to other people who work with, teenagers a lot, they talked about the fact that between, the hormones and everything and the transitions that you guys are making, it affects like your self-esteem a lot. And then for me, working in mental health, and I've worked with teens starting at age 12, I found out, you guys deal a lot with anxiety and depression, suicidal thoughts. And so I'm like, wow, I don't remember having those experiences at that stage in my life. Like, I knew we went through stuff as far as our hormones going crazy and different things like that, but we didn't struggle or battle with depression and anxiety like your generation does. So I think it's important for us to, I need a battery. Can somebody get the charger with him? Sorry, excuse me. But let's talk about that. Like, the epidemic that's going on now with our youth struggling with depression and anxiety. And I know that we've talked about what things need to be done to help support teens in that area. And so we've had conversations. You guys have seen some movements, things that were happening to help, bring more awareness to the epidemic of depression and anxiety going on with teens. So, like, do you find that, depression and anxiety was prevalent among, like your classmates or friends and different things when you guys started junior high?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like personally for me, I didn't experience it as much as I do now until about 8th grade when we were getting ready to go into high school a little bit. Towards the end of junior high, but not really at first. But I feel like that may also be because I was younger, so I didn't really like think about even just recognizing things like that.
Right.
So I think a lot of people don't like recognize it until later in life. Recognize that that's PTSD or depression or anxiety. Because I definitely didn't. I didn't realize it until later. It caused to more buildup. But I think almost another factor was a lot of people didn't realize, or a lot of teens didn't realize that there were other teens out there struggling with it. So when we would recognize it, it's like, oh, it's it's something that's not normal. But we now realized that there are a lot of people out there to relate to us and who are struggling with the same thing as we are.
So I remember Maya had showed us a YouTube video of a young lady that talked about that, the rising rates of depression and anxiety, and what things could be put in place even in the school systems to help support teens in being able to talk about it more, give you guys more of a platform, because that also, of course, if the prevalence of depression and anxiety increases, especially per person, that also leads to suicidal thoughts and attempts or addiction. I met a lot of teens who started using, smoking, whether it's smoking cigarettes, marijuana, and now the popular thing are pills. So yeah, vapes, and that starts at 12. That no longer waits until you get in high school. And so being able to figure out, well, what can we do to help support teens, to help prevent them getting down that path of leading to suicide or addiction. What do you think needs to be in place even in the school system?
I definitely think that schools should have like peers, just a place for teens to come, and it be team based, so it's like no adults really. I mean, it can be supervision, but like still adult, teens majority talking and listening to one another, expressing their feelings, because I do feel like teens are more open with other teens, because oftentimes we don't feel comfortable talking to adults because they don't understand, or we just not comfortable. So,
well, what about, again, adults, because adults still need to be able to mentorship. Because if you guys are all talking about the problems, but I don't have anybody to give you any real good advice.
I've also had a lot of people that don't really listen. They just provide the solution that's in a textbook or a piece of paper that they go beyond what the school board thinks I should say and actually help this person. Because I'm not saying people don't go to guidance counselors, people do. I've gone to guidance counselors, but it only helps to a certain extent. I've talked to other people who are going through the same thing I was going through, and it helped just a little bit more.
I haven't realized yet is that we are actually a big problem solvers. Like we recognize something, a problem in our world, but we want to take steps to actually change it. So even if we say, hey, I'm a person with anxiety or depression, we'll be like, well, let's start to change that. Let's take the next step, because there's so many people out there who are struggling with this. So even if it was just like a teen group with no adult or mentor, we would somehow figure out a solution or something to help others.
Well, I think if it's a balance in the group. So say because you guys are thinkers, you guys are, I consider you thought leaders, for our youth, because you see things from different perspectives and you are more solution focused. But my concern is if a group of teens get together and they're all struggling with depression and anxiety, but don't really know how to overcome it or, strengthen their minds or emotions. I understand just from my past, work history that some teams form what they call suicide groups or cutting groups, groups that then push them in the cycle of doing unhealthy things in response to the depression, anxiety. So I think that if you guys have mentors, because there are a lot of mentors or therapists out here who specialize working with teens, who who understand a youth's mind and your feelings, your emotions, and they're more compassionate and empathetic. So I think you guys definitely, the peer groups are good, but still with needing some guidance. Because y'all can't just be sitting up there talking about we today. So we just gonna fix our own problems.
Yeah,
You know.
and this isn't necessary. The peer groups that I was just, they aren't necessary to like, oh, be another teen's therapist, or
Right.
they're just for support. So even if everybody in the group is already like getting help or seeking help for someone older and wiser or in therapy, it would just an extra support system outside of that. So like if to make sure you're not alone at school, like just have like kind of some friends just to relate to, talk to, be like, hey, here's how my therapy session went, you know, my therapist really helped me, you know, things like that. So I'm definitely not trying to sit there with a bunch of teens and give them a bunch of advice, because I'm still a teen. So I feel like that is a little controversial.
And yeah, I think what she's saying is good, because I also do like think that there are a lot of people who, a lot of teens who tend to take on other people's feelings and forget that they have their own. And so like if they hear too much about other people's stories or feelings, so it will actually start to hurt a little bit more. So I think it's good that they have those support groups to know that they're not alone, but they also have therapists to talk about those feelings or just process those feelings.
Okay. Well, I'm proud of you guys and your input. I can smile. You can like. You know, it's okay for y'all to, you know, loosen it up, shake it up a little bit. And kind of laugh at jokes. Do you guys have anything else you want to add or share? Something, you know, inspirational or motivational, you know, for other teams, or even just something you would like to, you know, say to adults of how to, you know, what teams need.
I think just be more aware that we have feelings and that something may be deeper for us, and you know, not do something to like consider the other person's feelings without like, think about what you're going to say and how to say it. So people won't be so easily damaged.
I feel like a lot of times parents, when they are like disciplining or talking to their children, they'll get straight to yelling instead of sitting there and actually listening to their child's perspective on things, because it may be completely different than they think, or their child may be trying to open up to them about the real root of the issue. But you know, when they start like coming at them and yelling at them, then they don't want to say anything anymore because they think it may just make things worse. But honestly, it does help to talk about it. So you know, I definitely feel like teens, especially, they need someone to talk to, and they need someone to listen to them. They need to feel like they're being listened to truly. So definitely try to just kind of help them navigate that.
Oh yeah, I have to agree, because you know, I personally just even doing, you know, when I've done counseling with teenagers and their parents, that's usually the common theme that the teens will say, well, you don't listen to me. So that's why you didn't know that I was struggling with depression or anxiety or being bullied at school or whatever, you know, anything negative that could have been happening to me. You don't listen, you don't make time for me. So I think it's important, parents, you know, I'm not big on trying to be a child's friend. So the girls will tell you we have a great relationship, but they know I'm not their friend. I'm their mom. I'm always gonna be their mom. But we talk, right? Because I know what it is to feel unheard. I hear that for so many, you know, families, you know, from the teenagers to sometimes even the parents, you know, not feeling heard. So I think it's important that, as a society, we do better about making family time. I just literally ran across a post on Instagram. I was kind of quickly reading, but this young lady who's a big, she's an entrepreneur and a lot of people, but the number one thing she put that she said is part of her business principle is always keeping her family first and making her schedule to accommodate family time. And that's something that I do. And I thought that was significant because sometimes we get so caught up in securing the bag and getting our hustle on and doing so many things and thinking, I'm just focused on giving my child this great, fabulous life. But I personally worked with a lot of teens and parents who live in really nice houses, 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses, two or more cars, and the family is plagued by addiction, suicidal thoughts, depression, all these things, because the family has all these things. They have the status that they wanted, the social class they want to be a part of, but they don't talk to each other, they don't communicate, they don't spend quality time, and so they don't know when their loved ones who they share a household with is falling apart, and if they're hurting, and if they're traumatized, by anything that could be happening to them. And so I think it's important that we encourage families coming together more and talking and being more intentional about spending time together and just hanging out, because sometimes we just hang out, right, girl? And we're not just putting that on for sure.
I actually like hanging out with my family a lot, so no.
Thank you. Like hanging out with you. Sometimes, Jordan getting older, she's starting to get a little funny acting on us. I'm just messing with you, Jordan. But no, guys, thank you for tuning in. Dorothy, James, Antoine, thank you guys. We love you. We appreciate you guys, all those that have tuned in, those that were commenting. And so we hope that you enjoyed this show. We hope that you guys got something out of, what the girls had to say about teens and mental health. And we appreciate you. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night. Say good night, girls.
Good night.